During October and November, 32 of South Africa's top motorsportsmen will vie for top honours in the coveted Firestone Master Driver Series. Tonight we take a look at the 8 drivers who competed in identical standard Toyota Corollas fitted with steel stones in the second round of the series at Vaal recently. Aggressive Port Elizabeth star Terry Moss is a charismatic driver best known for his exploits in Stanic Group N VW Golf GTIs.
The points are worked out in such a manner that any man can win. My chances for this next run, I see we've got guys like Scheckter and we've got Glyn Hall. We've got very good drivers that are up there. It's any man's win. I'm most definitely going to try and win it.
Talented Glen Gibbons raced motorcycles before switching to 4 wheels and is best known for his rally exploits as a Toyota works driver.
I think doing the master drivers outside and winning it could mean a lot. Coming second or third, I don't think it's any relevancy to you. I think winning it is the main thing. It could, career-wise, could do a lot for anybody. Motorsports become so competitive now. You have to go out to win. You can't come second anymore.
A member of a talented motorsport family, Paolo Piazza-Musso is one of the rising young lions of the South African rally scene.
I think it's a great honour. It's nice to be in amongst all the top drivers in the country. I think we have all the cream there, so it's nice. I think it's a chance to show everybody what one can do in a situation where we're all equal. If you're going to get excited and make a stupid mistake, you're going to be lost. So I think the idea is to keep cool.
Youngster Hein Lategan has just won his first South African championship and is currently South Africa's top Formula V racing driver.
Ek sien dit as 'n groot kans. Ek dink nie mense het miskien so 'n goeie kans die eerste jaar nie, maar ek bedoel ek voel ook ek sal definitief 'n goeie go gee soos wat hulle sê. Van die 3 verskillende toetse dink ek definitief die autotest is op die stadium miskien die moeilikste omdat mense die minste gewoond is aan dit. Ek bedoel dis baie min wat jy daarmee te doen kry. Maar ek dink met oefening sal dit regkom.
Multiple South African champion Derrick Irving has earned a reputation as one of the quickest international kart stars.
You know, I've done a bit of other types of racing, and it's the first time that I've been on the rally scene. And Gymkhana, I think the rally would be the toughest for me. The Gymkhana, I don't think is too much of a problem, as I believe it is on tar. So there I'm not too worried about, but the rally I think is going to be my downfall.
A talented driver and engineer, Glyn Hall has earned top honours as a rally driver with Volkswagen and runs the factory-backed VW dealer team.
You're put on the spot there, there's a lot of tension. It's meant to be fun, but I think the tension overrides it. One small mistake has a lot of repercussions. I think everybody realises that it's a very intense competition and it's very localised. You know, it's not as if it's going to be a reflection on your career in the future.
Basil Mann is a multiple former South African Formula 4 champion and is currently one of South Africa's leading Formula GTI stars.
Well, this is where it always gets to. You get yourself tense before, and it's totally wrong because that's when you forget to let the handbrake go, or especially on the sand roads, you overshoot the corners and you let your legs shake on the clutch. You can't afford to have this happening, so I'm going in totally relaxed. I'll joke with the other guys, maybe it sucks them, and maybe this tactic will work. So I don't feel many nerves at all this year.
6-time South African drivers champion Scheckter dominated single-seater racing in South Africa in the 70s and early 80s.
Well, I haven't driven for a year now, and in the last 10 years I've only driven 2 seasons, so I haven't really done a lot of racing. But until I get out there with the guys and mix it, I'm not too sure. Last year I did get pole in the race, and that was satisfying, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Highlights from the second round of the Firestone Master Driver Series will be broadcast on Top Sport tomorrow night. You don't want to miss the action. The Mid-Vaal race circuit in Meyrton played host recently to the second round of the Firestone Master Driver Series. The series brings together 32 household names in South African motorsport, all vying for just 8 places in the final. Glyn Hall, Derrick Irving, Terry Moss, Hein Lategan, Glen Gibbons, Scheckter, Basil Mann, and Paolo Piazza-Musso were the second batch of 8 hopefuls. The Firestone Master Driver Series brings together stars from different facets of motorsport in a competition that takes in a rally special stage, an auto test and a 10-lap track race. It is action all the way, with 6-time South African drivers champion Hein Scheckter, the first to tackle the 5-kilometer part tar, part dirt rally stage laid out at Mid-Vaal. Scheckter spent a season in Formula 1 and dominated South African single-seater racing in the 70s and early 80s. Despite a long layoff from competition, Hein has lost none of his competitive fire, but rally sections have a habit of catching out racing drivers more used to late braking techniques on the track. A bent pole and a slightly remodified Toyota Corolla can be put down to a touch of driver error. The series sees all the competitors in standard Toyota Corollas fitted with standard Firestone steel belt radial tires. Scheckter's argument with a pole left him way down the list on the rally section, and with his car a little worse for wear, it was decided he would be able to switch to a spare for the rest of the competition. Rally ace Glyn Hall made it to the final last year and was widely favoured to win the Mid-Vaal round of this series. Hall has won top rally honours at provincial and national level and was expected to build up an early lead in the tar-cum-dirt rally stage. All appeared to be going well when Hall made an uncharacteristic error and took an off-road excursion. With so much dust around, it could have been the Paris-Dakar rally. The incident saw Hall slip to 5th place in the rally stage. His time was a whopping 11 seconds slower than that of the winner, and Hall's hopes of a second successive appearance in the final suddenly took a nosedive. Port Elizabeth racing driver Terry Moss also made it to the final last year. He just missed potential disaster early on in his run when the change from tar to dirt surface almost caught him out. But Moss is an aggressive customer on the racetrack and in typical fashion fought back to surprisingly set the second fastest time on the rally stage. While Glyn Hall and Glen Gibbons swapped notes, technicians went about the tyre changes made after each run. This ensures all the drivers are in equal machinery at all times. Gibbons is another rally ace to have won top honours at provincial and national level. The race cam fitted to the car provided ample evidence that Gibbons was intent on fighting his way to the 3rd successive final. The red-haired Gibbons has achieved most of his rally success as a factory driver for Toyota and was at home in the Toyota Corolla used exclusively in this year's Master Driver Series. Along with Glyn Hall and a 3rd rally driver, Paolo Piazza-Musso, it was expected that Gibbons would set a fast pace in the rally section. With Terry Moss opening a few eyes, where the rally brigade was concerned, there was a fair amount of pressure on Gibbons. Rally honour was very much at stake. From the word go, it was clear the honour of the rally drivers was in good hands. Gibbons gave a near faultless display of car control at speed on a slippery surface. The Toyota Corolla was always perfectly balanced, with Gibbons in control of the situation from the moment the flag dropped. Gibbons is a former motorcycle racer who has made the switch to 4 wheels with a great deal of success. Although he's also raced standard and modified saloons on the track, Gibbons is more at home in a rally car. Track racing and rally techniques are vastly different, but there is a growing band of drivers in South Africa equally at home in race and rally cars. A fine performance saw Gibbons easily set the fastest time in the rally section and got him off to a good start in the competition. Gibbons was nearly 3 seconds faster than second man Terry Moss, with Formula V racer Hein Lategan a surprise in 3rd spot. Autotest moved from the Mid-Vaal circuit to a parking lot in downtown Meyrton. While the course was being prepared, last-minute checks were made on cars. The 8 drivers gathered around to draw for starting positions and cars. Storm clouds brewed as they set about walking the course to familiarize themselves with the layout. With tyre wear minimal on the slippery parking lot surface, the organisers decided not to go ahead with a customary tyre change made after every run.
We're having a look at the tyres. We are confident that there is absolutely no difference. We will replace them if the drivers want them, and the request is that we don't change the tyres.
Yeah, no problem.
We all agree? No problem.
No, it's okay.
After setting the fastest time on the rally section, and with his previous Master Driver Series experience, Glen Gibbons was expected to set the pace in the auto skills test. Matters suddenly turned sour for Gibbons when he failed to straddle a white line on the predetermined course, and the yellow flag heralded a 10-second penalty. Drivers have to carry out precision maneuvers against the clock on the auto test course with penalties for transgressions. After setting the fastest time in practice, the unfortunate Gibbons picked up 2 penalties and had 20 seconds added to his time. This saw him relegated to last place, seriously denting his hopes of making the final. Making his first appearance in the Master Driver Series was up-and-coming rally star Paolo Piazza-Musso. Young Piazza-Musso comes from a motorsport family with father Giovanni a rally springbuck and brother Claudio the current South African Formula Ford champion. Piazza-Musso finished 4th in the rally stage, and a good result in both the auto skills test and in the race would have seen him emerge as a strong candidate to take one of the 2 places on offer for the final. Like Gibbons, Piazza-Musso also failed to straddle a white line, and he too picked up a 10-second penalty. In a competition of this nature, a 10-second penalty is a lifetime and effectively put the young Johannesburg driver out of the running. Finishing ahead of Gibbons was little compensation for Piazza-Musso, but he still had the race to try and make up lost ground. Over the years, Derrick Irving has proved himself to be one of the quickest kart drivers in the world. A springbuck and multiple South African champion, Irving has also won a string of honours in top international competition. More recently, Irving has also proved himself to be no slouch when it comes to saloon car racing. He's emerged as one of the fastest and most competitive drivers in standard saloon car events throughout the country and is widely experienced. The auto test saw Irving up against a major problem. He just could not find the right gear when he needed it most. And in this type of competition, while the car is stationary, you're losing time against the clock. Combined with a disappointing rally section, Irving was also out of the running for a place in the final. The surprise package of the second round of the Firestone Master Driver Series turned out to be young Vaal triangle driver Hein Lategan. He recently clinched his first South African Formula V championship, but was making his first appearance in the series and had virtually no experience in rally cars. Despite this handicap, Lategan came through to finish 3rd in the rally stage. Lategan immediately looked at home in the auto test as well. A smooth performance saw him share 4th place alongside Formula Ford and Formula GTI star Basil Mann, and elevated him to 3rd place overall in the competition. This gave Lategan a real chance of reaching the final in his first appearance in the series.
Nice one, mate. Nice run.
Following his highly encouraging run in the rally section, there was plenty of adrenaline pumping where Terry Moss was concerned. In his only previous appearance in the competition last year, Moss made it through to the final and was determined to come up with a repeat performance. Those who have competed against Moss on the track will tell you that the Port Elizabeth star is a hard and uncompromising opponent. Moss is one of those competitors for whom 100% effort is not enough. In a typical Moss display, he was all aggression as he attacked the course. Under the aggression was a smooth and precise touch. It carried him to victory by nearly 3 seconds over Glyn Hall and all but assured him of a place in the final. With only the race to come, Moss needed only finish to qualify. Moss and Hall set the 2 quickest times, with Scheckter recovering from his disappointing rally showing by taking 3rd place. Each round of the series is run over 2 days. The next day it was back to Vaal for timed practice and the race finale over 10 laps.
To the start, please.
Basil Mann was one of a couple of competitors who had an outside chance of still making it to the final. To do that, Mann had to win the race and was determined to come up with a good qualifying showing to grab a leading grid position. Mann is best known for his exploits in single-seaters, and apart from competing successfully overseas, is a former South African Formula Ford and Formula GTI champion. Like many of his contemporaries, Mann is no slouch in a saloon car, and is also a former Toyota works driver in this category of racing. Timed practice for the race was run on the Indy format made popular in America, with 1 car out on the track at a time. Each driver is allowed 2 practice laps, 3 timed laps, and a slowing down tour of the circuit. Glyn Hall and Scheckter took the leading grid positions, but there were surprises from Terry Moss and Glen Gibbons at the back of the field.
All right, I'll see if we can give you a push, Glyn.
As the drivers started to get ready for the race, so the tensions started to build up. For those drivers still in with a chance of making it through to the final, it was time for the psych to start working. Ahead lay 10 laps of hard racing, with only 2 of the 8 drivers going through to the final. As is the norm, the drivers were allowed a warm-up lap before forming up on the grid for the final countdown to the start. As the flag dropped, there was a mad dash for the first corner, with everyone wanting to get there first. There was plenty of bumping and boring at the first corner as the drivers jockeyed for positions. Terry Moss was given a gentle nudge and a spin saw him drop to the rear of the field, where he was to stay for the rest of the race. For Moss, it was not a serious handicap, as he needed only a single point to make sure of qualifying for the final. A determined Glyn Hall, whose only racing experience has been in the Firestone Master Driver Series, immediately went into the lead. As the field settled down, Hall was followed by Scheckter, Hein Lategan and Basil Mann. With the cars evenly matched, it was close racing all the way. With Scheckter and company hot on his heels, Hall could not afford to make any mistakes. As the race approached middle distance, so the pace started to hot up. The race cam mounted on leader Hall's Corolla provides an interesting view of the track. There was a good scrap going on between Derrick Irving and Glen Gibbons, with Basil Mann starting to close in on Hein Lategan. For his part, Lategan was starting to think of putting the pressure on Scheckter, and the situation was starting to get interesting. Fun and games started when Lategan decided enough was enough and it was time to get past Scheckter. As they approached the end of the Vaal main straight, Lategan made his move to get on the inside of the East London veteran. There was plenty of bumping and boring going on as Lategan squeezed his way past Scheckter. Behind the pair, Mann was waiting to pounce. For his part, Scheckter was not going to be intimidated by some youngster who was probably only dreaming of racing cars, while the Scheckter brothers were international stars. Scheckter fought back to regain second spot, and once again there was a little remodeling of Toyota body panels going on. Mann had a grandstand view of the action up ahead of him. If Mann had a good view, why not join Hein Lategan in the cockpit of his Toyota Corolla as the race cam in the car records all the action of his earlier battle with Scheckter. The battle between Scheckter and Hein Lategan provided most of the drama in the race. While they fought their private battle, Hall calmly went about staying out in front. Late in the race, Lategan had more problems and was finally forced back into 4th place by Basil Mann. The final result saw Hall take 1st place, followed by Scheckter, Mann and Lategan. Some of the Corollas were a little the worse for wear after the action-packed race, and it was a jubilant Hall and Moss who celebrated their place in the final with a traditional bubbly.
The race was a great disappointment for me. I came last. It's the first race I've ever come last in.
That's the worst thing, is the tension. The rally round, the race is all okay, and the Gymkhana, it's the tension, for sure.
The overall results show Hall is a clear winner ahead of Moss, with only half a point separating Lategan and Scheckter. The 8 drivers competing in the 3rd round of the series will be introduced on TopSport next Tuesday, with highlights featuring in the TopSport lineup the following evening. You don't want to miss the action.